Albert Einstein once said, we cannot solve our problems with the mindset we use to create them. When I was in my 20s and 30s, I did all kinds of personal growth experiences to try to help me solve my problems with low self-esteem and low confidence. I walked on hot coals many times. I fit in with this group. I walked on hot coals. I balanced on a tightrope, 25 feet in the air. But the most incredible thing I did was bend this spoon with my mind. And the hardest one was breaking this baby in two. A couple of hundred of us were standing around preparing our boards. On one side, what is my biggest block? I feel so different. I'm not accepted. I don't believe in me. On the other side, who I wanted to be. Remembering, I know I can and I am. Everybody was screaming. Boards were breaking. It was my turn. I can and I am. I can and I am. Ouch! I can and I am. I can. My hand is turning purple. Oh my goodness. I kept on trying, and the tears were starting to roll down my face when the trainer came up behind me and said, look past the board to where you want to be. I rose my eyes up. I didn't feel a thing as the board broke in two. I realized I had let go in that moment of every belief that no longer served me. I started learning this lesson when I was young. There were these people that had some very terrifying beliefs about people who were different. I needed to look past that, like looking past the board. It was 1968. My parents and I were watching this secretly made film about a place called Willowbrook Institution, a so-called school for children labeled mentally and physically defective. The U.S. Department of Education later described the horror I saw. Many institutions were over capacity, understaffed. There was barely enough food, clothing, and shelter. There was no school, no education. Families were not allowed to visit. And there was no resources to help these children ever go home. This was what parents were made to believe, that this was the best place for their born different child. I turned to my parents, hysterically crying, and said, if it's the last thing I do, I'm closing down those institutions. And that became my calling, to make a difference for the different. So way before I claimed my I can and I am belief, I started making that difference by volunteering with parents who were able to keep their children at home. I thought all of them were in the institutions. No surprise, I met so many handicapped children who were smart, skilled, capable, even talented. While I was getting my education and experience, which I believe you heard about already, I had my differences, my learning differences. I had my motivation that was like a superpower, and I had my 5,000 plus hours of volunteer work, and that got me into college. And with that mission in mind, I decided I was going to be one of the first special education teachers, and I did that. And then I became one of the first in the nation to be an early intervention specialist. Do you know the first place that I went and worked? The local institution. And there I was, making a difference for the children that they thought were unteachable. Things started getting better. It was slow, but it was sure. 1975, 50 years ago, President Gerald Ford signed into law the Education for All Handicapped Children Act. This guaranteed every child the right to a public education. So, do you know who made that happen? Parents. I wish it was me. Parents made that happen because they saw past the board to what was possible. When they saw past the board, what that did was give me permission to look past what was to a future of what could be. It became my mission to empower others to see education differently. After 5 decades of doing this work, this amazing work, life-changing with so many families, I've learned that when a parent is able to truly change their very beliefs about how a child learns, they begin to see education differently, and everything changes. Now we know change does not happen in an instant. Even if it's something really important that we want to do for our children, we know it takes time. Did you know that it took 42 years after that law, plus a U.S. Supreme Court ruling, to change and to ban the term mental retardation? But the good news? It only took 15 years for them to change the name more appropriately of this law to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. Clever idea, right? This law, this new law, changed everything, especially for parents, because it allowed parents to fully participate in all things educational for their children. I think that deserves some applause, don't you think? That was changing the world. Parent empowerment. It starts when parents become brave enough to try a new and different path. When parents are willing to allow others to help them see their children in a different light, their strengths, their abilities, their dreams. When a parent realizes that they know their child best and that they are the expert to help their child be the most successful. Like the parents of Alan, who had severe autism, which limited his ability to speak or socialize with anyone. His parents made a decision that they were not allowing anyone near their child who was not seeing him in all his potential. Today, Alan is graduating from college with a hospitality degree, of all things, and you cannot stop him from talking about that. Or like Beth, who was always a shy, socially awkward, really anxious young girl. She so struggled in school and even at home until her parents created the most incredible support team for her, who helped her build a strong mind, body, and spirit. Today, Beth is an exceptional teacher and an award-winning athlete. When we believe in them, they begin to believe in themselves. Now, another quote by one of our most gifted and learning different individuals who ever lived. Einstein also said, "Most people see what is and never see what can be." So I want to show you, tell you, help you see the changes that are happening for what we want to call are just learning different people. And to give you a new mindset to see what's possible. The National Center for Education Statistics tells us that 1 in 5 students, that's 20 to 25% of our student population, public and private, learn so differently that they need to have specialized instruction in order for them to unleash their smarts and skills. That's 15 million in the US. That's 250 around the world. What's incredible is that what we have now, more than 8 million children, students in the United States are receiving more in specialized instruction than ever before in our history. Also incredible, right? What's even more incredible is instead of us seeing our neurodiverse learners or our learning different student as something, as struggling, we are finally starting to see them as differently abled, with their different forms of ways of learning, like dyslexia, autism, and even their gifted IQs. Many of us are this in this room. The most common neurodiversity, do you know what it is? Have you heard of ADD or ADHD? Right. Everybody who has that, raise their hand. No. There's a lot of us. So 1 in 10 students are affected by this attention deficit disorder. And many of us who have struggled and have learned how to thrive with it, that probably didn't happen until maybe middle age. It takes that long. Well, think about all the people we know. Inventors, scientists, leaders, actors, artists that demonstrate some form of ADD or ADHD. Perhaps the more important question would be, what would we be missing in our world if it wasn't for those brilliant minds? The big takeaway here is we have uniquely learning, differently abled people, students that will grow up to be our future, most creative, promising leaders. But only when we are able to accept that everyone learns differently. So I want to leave you with a little quick and easy gift to be able to see what you wish most for your child. Look into your mind's eye and imagine your child at any age. See them accomplishing something you never thought possible. See them so excited, so happy, so thrilled with themselves, and feel your heart bursting with pride. And then realize it was your belief in them that made that moment real. Interesting how quickly we can bring to mind the change we wish to see for our child. I want to leave you with a last empowering thought. In the slightly revised words of Margaret Mead, never doubt that a small, committed, thoughtful group of parents can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Thank you.